tried to sit up so that he could retrieve the suit rep kit from his left cargo pocket, but for some reason, his body didn't want to listen to him. He was just too weak, despite that he wore a strength-enhancing jumpsuit. Obviously, he had been struck by something, probably an enemy laser, yet he wondered why he wasn't feeling any pain. He realized he was having difficulty breathing. He stared at the flashing puncture indicator on his HUD. "Got to retrieve suit rep." A trailing Marine knelt to help Lux. A moment later, a portion of the Marine's faceplate shattered, and the inside of her helmet turned completely red. She toppled. That Marine was the last one out there.
"Where's the sergeant?"
Someone asked over the comm. "What about Rage?" Someone else. "What are you doing?" The pilot. "We have to go. Now." Rade dialed up the jumpsuit strength settings to maximum assist and tried again. He managed to push his chest half a meter from the snow before he toppled again. "Exoskeleton must be damaged." That was when the delayed pain suddenly exploded in his chest. It was a terrible burning agony, worse than any he had ever felt before. His vision dimmed. He felt like he was in a technician's shop, and he had stepped in front of the blowtorch. With each breath, he sensed the bone grinding against the tendons of his ribcage, and the sinews against the fascia. The merciless treads of an invisible tank rolled across the insides of his lungs, each turn of the articulated metal tearing gristle, renting ligaments. His heart pounded frantically against his chest, striving to break free. "We have to go," a distant voice said. The words sounded strangely sluggish and drawn out, as if time for Rade was passing at a much slower rate. Lying there on the ground, Rade contorted his body like a dying worm as he struggled with the left pocket of his leg assembly. Finally, he snatched the suit rep kit. He fetched a vial of morphine from the kit and slid it into the injection slot above his glove. The sonic injector passed the analgesic into the dorsal venous network of his hand. The pain faded mercifully as the morphine, sweet morphine, kicked in. He grabbed a patch and reached behind his back, attempting to seal the suit puncture indicated on his HUD. He realized that a portion of the jetpack was blocking him. He couldn't reach the perforation. He unhooked the jetpack assembly and shrugged it off with difficulty. Then he reached behind his back again. He still couldn't stretch far enough to reach the puncture zone. He had packed on too much muscle over the past year and had paid for it with a loss in flexibility. And then another jumpsuit stood beside him. The operator took the patch from him. He felt something press into his back, and a moment later the puncture warning ceased. "Tahoe?" He glanced up. Harlequin stood there. As Rade watched, a hole appeared in Harlequin's faceplate, and the skin at the center of the artificial's forehead curdled and blackened. Harlequin had taken a laser shot to the region, but amazingly didn't fall. Instead, the artificial reached down and grabbed both Rade and Lux, hauling them from the snowpack. Harlequin placed them together in a hugging position and maneuvered the pair in front of its chest, shielding them with its body. Harlequin held them tight as it proceeded toward the carrier. The artificial thrusted a few times to add to the forward motion, but the jetpack sputtered and died. The feed lines had been shot out, maybe. Harlequin continued toward the shuttle, bounding across the snowpack, still protecting the pair. Harlequin jerked oddly sometimes, and Rade realized the artificial was getting struck repeatedly by lasers. Somehow the artificial kept going. The shuttle fired a trench coat multiple times. Missiles exploded all around the craft, sending up plumes of snow and smoke, carving big holes into the drifts. Scorch marks and burn holes marred the armored fuselage in multiple places, with new ones appearing all the time. So far the armor was holding up, but for how long? The whole thing seemed so far away and distant to Rade. It was almost as if he were some impassive observer watching the most surreal of scenes unfold from outside his body. About 5 meters from the shuttle, Harlequin collapsed.